Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I hope you are familiar with George Orwell's dystopic novel 1984. If not, I urge you to read it. And in his book, he has this statement referring to actually a country, a government. Who controls the present controls the past, and who controls the past controls the future. So that is, he was given in his book, he was claiming that, if a government changes books, newspapers from the past reporting certain events that occurred in the past, the current population that will read about those events from the past, they will have an attitude that would be totally different that they will use it in the future. So their worldview will be different. So let's say, I'm going to give you an example. Let's say nowadays our leaders, they control the past. Let's say they change books, newspapers, statements made in the past about, let's say, the Second World War. And let's say in the Second World War, they changed saying that actually the Soviet Union invaded Germany, and Soviet Union had the concentration camps against, French people and the American people. And then America came and smacked Soviet Union over its beak together with Germany and Western countries. Now, when you look nowadays and you read that in book, you learn that in book, and you learn that in school, or in you read books about that, you will have a certain worldview. So nowadays, when you look at the events in, let's say, Ukraine, you would say, oh, the Russians are at it again. They want to hurt again the same people, and again the same people will come to help, which is the United States of America. So your attitude towards something current will be changed in the future. You have the attitude because of the past that was tweaked. So this is more or less, we are not there yet, and we are still allowed, and we can find, if we look in the past, we still have books, we can still Google or Yahoo or whatever in the browsers and find out articles written in the past and books on certain kind of subjects. They are not changing them, but you have to look for them, right? Because now they tell you certain things, but you still are able to find what actually happened. A good example is the war in Yugoslavia. What happened then and was reported then versus what they tell you now about the war in Yugoslavia, or bombardment of the Yugoslavia, 1999. So I'm going to use an article which is supposedly the Western countries are training the baboons, or in this case it seems like the Ukrainians are the baboons, to fight the Western way, the evil Russians. So you can't, you learn the Ukrainians like they don't have thought to fight the Western way. But hey, let's find out what was the Western way. And one of the easiest way to find out what is the way of fighting of the West, you go back in the past, right? If the past is not altered, which is not, you can still find certain kind of information. So I choose to pick 1999 Yugoslavia war to show how the West fought the evil, probably baboons, Serbians too. All right, but first let me go to this article just to see how actually these guys are proud of teaching the baboons how to fight the Western way. All right, let's move and see what's going on here. This article comes from Reuters, February 15th, 2023. UK training Ukrainians to fight in Western way with less ammunition. So that tells you that the Westerns are actually, not capitalist, and they're not, just they fight with less ammunition. When they fight wars, they are very efficient. Okay, all right, that's what I take out of this. But you use ammunition, I think, according to the situation, I learned. But hey, maybe these guys have a different style. London, Britain is training Ukrainian soldiers / baboons because I think that's how I infer out of this thing. Okay, but hey, something new always, it doesn't mean you're a baboon, correct? Well, let's say correct, but I'm just exaggerating for certain kind of visual effects, if you know what I mean. To fight in a more Western way and use less ammunition than the traditional Soviet way of fighting, British Defense Secretary Ben Wallace said on Wednesday. Okay, what is the Soviet way of fighting? Obviously, he tells you, a lot of ammunition, give it. Why? Because Soviet Union was an industrialized country and had so much ammunition and making so much weapons, and it was so abundant. The Soviet society was so abundancy, they have everything. Well, I know that capitalism is based on consumption. So capitalism is used, if you don't consume, capitalism doesn't work. So you have to promote the consumption attitude in people. So that is, the more you consume, the better. Now, Soviet Union was not a capitalist country. So I think from the get-go, we have a little problem here, Mr. Wallace, or whomever you are. And you can say, wait, that's a different thing. Because in capitalism as well, and that's true, we try to be as efficient as we can to sell something that values less for more. So we have to fool people. We negotiate. Hey, if I sell you this with $50,000, and I know this was, let's say, $2,000, and you pay for it, you're the stupid one. And hey, we made a contract. You agree to the deal. I have no remorses, even though I know it cost me $2,000, and you are eager to pay $50,000. Hey, all good. You're dumb. I'm smart. That's how it goes. Okay. So you can say, yeah, it's true. That could be true. But again, I'm going to go to the Yugoslavia war. And if you look at that one, you're going to see how efficient the bombardments were coming from NATO. And I don't have, I think, to make my point, because I think you already know that those guys mowed down Yugoslavia. And I'm going to give you some examples, okay? I tried to look. I know I found in the past where they said that so much ammunition was used, bombs were used in Yugoslavia in those 72 days or 75 days, the bombardment, something like the Second World War or something. I don't know how much ammunition, how many times. So it was like, oh shit, in 72 days, more than, 4 years of war, 5 years of Second World War. But anyway, I couldn't find that article because, remember Orwell? I know I read that. I know I had it. I can't remember the exact. You can probably find it if you look for it, but I will keep looking it because I don't like, I want to have the evidence. But here, just look for it. I know it was more than then, but maybe it was not the Gulf War, it was Yugoslavia. All right, let's move on with this article, nevertheless. So, British Defense Secretary, he says that Britain, along with other Western allies, has been training Ukrainian soldiers and providing weapons and ammunition to support Kiev in its battle with Russia. And I'm quoting, Ukraine uses huge amounts of ammunition to defend itself. Partly, that's why we're training them to fight in a Western way, end quote. Well, you use ammunition based on the circumstances. That's what's a general rule. You're not going to use one bullet for 50 people attacking you, or tanks. Anyway, Wallace said Britain has been buying and trading ammunition, and I'm quoting, that is Soviet in standard, while also helping the Ukrainian military convert to unlock, and quoting, access to our ammunition stocks, so we can produce more and then we can sell it to you. So we have finally a manufacturer industry. Otherwise, we wouldn't. Oh, pardon me. But no, medication is still in China, so no. At the same time, we're training, I'm quoting, training to make sure it's used in a way that's very productive and accurate. That's correct. Efficiency is always good. I'm quoting, the Russian or the Soviet way of fighting is very ammunition heavy, massive artillery, barrages, and that's never how we have organized ourselves to fight in NATO. Never. You hear that, never? Never means not one time. Not one time. Now, it doesn't mean that we have organized ourselves, but that we didn't follow the way we organize. That's true, because sometimes you plan something, and then when you get in the middle of it, you use the Soviet/Russian style. Right, Wallace? Asked whether Western allies should also be supplying jets to Ukraine, Wallace said the use of fighter jets required lengthy training for pilots and a substantial support crew. He said Britain could provide more immediate support through the supply of weapons such as anti-aircraft missiles. So, and I'm quoting again, I think we can help Ukraine sooner by delivering the effects they need on the battlefield rather than the platform-specific request. I read a few articles about this today and yesterday, and it seems like the Western countries, the guys they don't consume, are backing off from sending airplanes, aircraft, fighter jets to Ukraine as of now. And they're okay with the tanks, and they give all kind of reasons. That's a different story. So let's go to a different article here, which I checked to see the Yugoslavia war. Who controls the present, controls the past. And I'm still allowed to watch these things. And see, we still have CNN. CNN from then. I don't know how good it was. It was on May 23rd, 1999. We still have these things online. What's the title? NATO strikes at Yugoslav power plants, plural. So when you hear, is that a war crime? Is that a war crime? Is that terrorism? You remember this thing that is right here, if you put over here instead of NATO, Russia, and instead of Yugoslav, you use Ukraine, see how they interpret this act. Right here, that's what, okay. But in the other context, no, those are criminals, those are terrorists, right? So we still have the past, still allowed to see these things. What they were saying proudly, there was not an article here to blame the NATO. This article was not written to blame NATO. Here, Belgrade. NATO bombs put Yugoslavia's largest coal-burning power plant out of business Sunday, the state-run Tanjug news agency said. So, Tanjug said 2 rockets hit the Nikola Tesla plant near Baba, 30 kilometers. Okay? So, what do you think? Look at this, what it created. The attack caused additional problems in supplying the Yugoslav capital with electricity after attacks early Sunday struck the nearby Kolubara power plant. So these guys were blowing up power plants, and that's not civilian infrastructure. So when you hear the weasels nowadays pointing their finger at the Russians, which is bad, all that is bad. But if it was bad, it is bad for these guys, why was it good for you then? It's the same action. That means if I rape someone, it's okay because it's me. But if the neighbor rapes the same someone, is not okay. Rape is rape. I mean, regardless who does it. No, in this case, if we blow up power plants, that's a-okay. If those guys, the bad dudes, hit power plants, it's not okay. Why? So you see how things are? I think you know. So let's move on and see what else is going on here. Look at this. What was the NATO way? Overnight, on one night, NATO planes flew 652 sorties over Yugoslavia. That plane attacks. 301 of them striking targets. So if you find this number or close to it in the war in Ukraine, I give you everything I own, including my life, which I don't own, but anyway. So here, 652 sorties one night. That is 8 hours at the most. All right? And we can calculate based on what? May, right? So May, probably 7 hours or something like this of nighttime, or maybe 8 hours. Let's put it 8 hours. 9 hours, 12 hours. So you tell me, Wallace, you tell me about that, the less ammunition. And that's only one example. Hey, I have more. Don't go anywhere. Here, NATO bombing Yugoslavia. You can find here how many weapons, how many aircraft, how many warships, how many tanks, how many were blown up, and so on. But that's not what I'm looking for when I'm here. I'm here for somewhere right here. And I would like you to look at this. You see what this is? Depleted uranium ammunition fired in Federal Republic of Yugoslavia in 1999. That's not fired by the Serbs. Okay? They say fired in. It's not say fired by American or whoever. Okay, now you wanna look and see what depleted uranium ammunition is? Oh, we found it. Okay, let's see. So it says here that it started is a uranium with a lower content. All right, and this was started by the United States of America. Let me see where I found that one. Somewhere here. Anyway, depleted uranium is about 60% as radioactive as natural uranium. So these guys were nuking the Serbs? What is that? Most of the alpha radiations comes from the U and U, where beta radiation comes from the TH. Anyway, I'm not gonna go deeper in that because I don't have much knowledge on chemistry and all that. But right here, it's controversial, the actual level of acute or chronic toxicity. So that's one. And let's go to history. This was I wanna show you. Enriched uranium was first manufactured, and then we're going to find out who has these kind of things. Product availability, and then we go to World Depleted Uranium Inventory. Who's on the first right here? United States, reported in 2002. Okay? And I'm looking down here to find Yugoslavia or Serbia. I didn't find anything. But anyway, World Depleted Uranium Inventory. Maybe this doesn't prove anything to you, but at least brings a little bit of contradiction. And as I said, who controls the present controls the past, and who controls the past controls the future. In this case, you still find information. All you need to do, you have to, not you, because you're here with me, and I pretty much you do that since you're here, and this long in my video, but they have to just do a little bit of a click, or go to a library, or speak with other people, order a little bit, and they will tell them, hey, they reported, you know that, you know they bombed Yugoslavia with cluster bombs, you know they did it with depleted uranium, and you know, what, that's news to me. And find that article or that information, which I didn't go into, how many bombs in kilograms or pounds of ammunition, the bombs these guys used for Yugoslavia war versus the Second World War. And I think it was something like, but I can't remember the name, I don't want to go deeper, just look into it. A few clicks more than I did this morning. I was too eager to make this thing, and I couldn't find it because the past, you know. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Yeah, fight the Western way of consumption. Somehow over there's no consumption, but here it is. What are these guys trying to do right now? The Western way. Provide Ukraine with as much ammunition to what? To weaken Russia. That's what they said. So that means you're going to do that, you're going to have to, what? And then, oh, maybe we don't have the ammunition. Hey, you train differently. I think it bites the Westerners, not the manufacturers. They are happy to produce as much as possible, but the population will get, hey, wait a second, we build bombs and we eat grass? Well, basically our economy is going to turn into a war economy or industry, and we're going to produce weapons, but nothing for us. But hey, that's okay. Don't own anything, but be happy. Remember Schwab? Yeah, there you go. New world, beautiful order that we're going to have. Not, probably. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.